I was faced in a describe a time when you were faced with a stressful situation that demonstrated your coping skills. I demonstrated my coping skills when I had to move here from China. It was really tough for me because of all the culture differences and all the friends that I did not have. So I had to put myself outside of my own comfort zone to really enjoy my time here and make the best of it. At first, I really hated it because I didn't know anyone, I didn't have any friends. But towards the end and right now, I love being in America. I love the great opportunities it has offered me and the beautiful people I have met and just the learning experience I gained from moving here. Given given specific example of a time when you used good judgment and logic in solving a problem. When I first moved here, there was a lot of problems with paying our bills, looking at the rent, and working out taxes. A, a specific example was when I first went to school. I didn't really have friends or anything, and a lot of kids would try to take advantage of us foreign kids because they believe that we tend to have a lot of money, but I was really just a middle class kid. A lot of times kids would try to take my money and or make me bribe them to do me a favor, try to do make them my friend, but I turned it all down and I told them, if you want to be my friend, we can, but not through doing favors for each other. Tell me about a time when you had to use your presentation skills to influence someone's opinion. So, my senior year, my friends and I really wanted to go on a trip, just a road trip to the middle of nowhere and just have fun with our lives. My mom was kind of sketchy about it in the beginning, but because we didn't have a solid plan of the places we were going to go and the sites we were going to see. So later on, I made her a detailed list of which places we're going to be at and what time we're going to be there. And I presented it to her, and that really helped change her mind. Please discuss an important written document you were required to complete. My first year in college, my first semester, I had to complete a 60-page research paper of all my work that I did throughout the semester, and at the last 10 pages was pretty much whatever we wanted to write about, and I wrote about the difference between the two cultures of Chinese Americans and American and Chinese, because I was born here but I moved to China, which that made me an American Chinese, and some of the kids who move here from China, they're called Chinese American in terms of that's what people called it in China, and I compared the two different cultures and the two different Chinese and what's different about each other and what kind of culture shock I faced personally and what kind of culture shock some of the Chinese people that didn't go to American school in China faced. And tell me about a time when you had too many things to do and you were required to prioritize your tasks. In college, I would say the different finals you have and the amount of time you have to study for them. If you slack off just a little bit, you have to start prioritizing what class is more important than the other. And obviously, the classes with more credit was on top of my list, and the classes with least credit was on the bottom. But I managed to pull a decent GPA throughout maintaining these different prioritizing situations. Give me an example of a time when you had to make a split second decision. So I had to make a split second decision when I was on a basketball team and our team was having these two teammates of mine were going at it about blaming who turned over the ball on a very key play in the game, and the split second decision I made was to take the blame for myself and said I called the wrong play while I was playing out there, and I caused the miscommunication, and that lead to us having better team chemistry the next game, and we ended up going winning second place that tournament out of 12 teams. What is your typical way of dealing with conflict? Give an example. Well, since since I started rushing a fraternity, I had to deal with many different tough tasks that they hand to us, and a lot of the times that uh, us pledges would have different views on how to do the task and who can do it better. So an example would be we had a task in which we had to bring back bring back a plant, but we couldn't steal it or we couldn't buy it. So we had to figure out a way in which we got the plant back to the house and planted it in the house. So one of my pledge brothers said, "Oh, let's just steal it." But I was like, "No, that's against my morals." And like I confronted him about it, and I told him a detailed description of what my plan was, which was to ask a buddy of ours to loan us their plant first, and we take it, plant it, and then after our pledge process, we return it. Give an example of a time when something you tried to accomplish and failed. I would say my biggest failure in life was when I applied for some schools and I got rejected from them. I tried my hardest. Like I even reapplied later on because I early decision to USC and it didn't work out for me. And I like try and contact the administrators to see if there's anything I can do that would have helped me, but it didn't. And I ended up going here, and which became one of the greatest blessings in my life. Give me an example of when you showed initiative and took the lead. A time in which I took the lead was when when my basketball team was down and everybody was down by 15 with like 5 minutes left. I Everybody didn't think we could have a comeback and win the game, and I took the initiative and motivated my team and got everyone going, and we ended up going to overtime in that game and winning it. A time in which tell me about a time you were forced to make an unpopular decision. Back in my senior year, my friends and we all wanted to go out and do something very dangerous. We wanted to drink some alcohol and jump off this cliff that needs precision to jump into the water. And a time I made the unpopular decision was I was the designated driver and they wanted to do it, but I told them I was not going to pick them up if they did it. And give me an example. Tell me about a time when you delegated a project effectively. My senior year, we had to make a senior portfolio with three of your friends. You can choose whoever they are, and we developed a plan in which one person does the first section, which was background of each person in the group. Then second part was given to me, and it was the best memory each project member had. And the third was what was one thing that they regret doing in high school and why. And I facilitated this project by asking one person to do the first section, myself to the second, and another buddy of mine to the third. And we all collaborated with each other for this, and we ended up getting our project hung up on our high school, written up in our high school newspaper. Tell me about a difficult decision you made in the last year. One of the most difficult situations I have made in my life was to choose where I wanted to go to school. I could have went to University of Pacific, be with my best friends, have a great time, and stick to what I know, and and or come here, which I didn't know anyone, and it was far from my girlfriend and home at the time. And I made the decision to come here because I realized it was probably what is best for me, and what and it really really helped me develop to become a more independent person and really develop my skills with networking. Tell me about a time where you had to go above and beyond the call of duty in order to get the job done. Well, a lot of the times when it was just me and my mom in the house, I would have chores, and she had surgery in my senior year of high school, so she couldn't really do much cleaning or anything, and at times I had a lot of papers due, but I would go above and beyond and just clean the whole house earlier in the morning and like make sure my mom's okay, then go back to studying. And sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night, clean the house even more, and make her life a little easier the next day. Make sure she has everything that she needs for the day, and I'll prepare myself for the next day too. Give me an example of a time when you set a goal and were able to meet or achieve it. I set a goal for myself in college to not not completely fail my first semester because I was going through a lot. I was going through my homesickness, not seeing my mom. My mom was moving back to Taiwan. My brother, I haven't seen him since winter, since spring break, since Thanksgiving break, and I really had a tough time dealing with all of that and maintaining my grades at the same times because a lot of times it was I just wanted to give up and not try anymore, but I achieved a decent GPA my first semester of college, and that made me really proud. Describe a situation in which you were able to use your persuasion to successfully conceive someone to see things your way. My mom didn't really support me going out of state because then she would have to pay out of state tuition, and she's already paying for my brother's private school tuition, which I understand why she doesn't want me to go out of state. But I did some research about Washington State University, and I ended up convincing her, and at times there was I wanted to go to University of Pacific, but she's like, no, you're going to Washington State University because it has one of the top programs for your major, and one of the best one of the best degrees you can get for hospitality business management is out of here. And that's my 10 question interview.